always present. Ooh. All right. Let's mute that as well. Fashion killer. Yeah. Welcome to the live. Lady Yue, welcome to the live. Nkuli, welcome to the live. 400, welcome to the live. Meek Man, welcome. Mara, welcome. If you guys are looking for charts, today's not the day. We're just going to be gisting about psychology and shit. Hey, good luck. Hey, Tira 2, Fortune Coupe. BD1, Liddy 24, Dustin Pips. Holy Thug, welcome to the live. Hey, Fortune, how you doing? Big Tobias, are you here? If you are, identify yourself. Hey, 400, thank you for the share. Bolly Smile, welcome to the live. Patty, I see you. Hi. Hi, Nana, welcome. Is Tobias here? Good evening, good luck. I'm not sure he's here. Oh well. So today, full disclosure, we are not doing charts. We're doing psychology. And I recognize that some of you may not care about that. That's fine. I came in a little bit late, like 1 minute late, so I'm waiting to see the room get a little bit full. I'll give it 2 more minutes. Baba and Hanan, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you. It is good to see you. So what we're going to do this live is we're just really going to talk back and forth. In the group, I was asking people what their main struggles were with trading and got a lot of interesting answers. So here, it's just going to be you, me, face to face. No charts. So those of you looking for charts, you're looking for signals, things like that, it's okay. Scroll away. We'll see you next week. See you on Monday. In 1 more minute, I will start. Let's see what we have here. Freddie is typing. Baba and Hanan, thank you for sharing the live and for liking as well. I should close this Telegram. I'm actually getting distracted now. So guys, my name is Nasa, also called I Take Tics on TikTok, and basically what I teach you about is everything that I've learned about trading. It has taken me 10 years to finally come to a place where I'm like, okay, I figured this out. And one of the things I promised myself when I first started was, once I figure it out, I'm going to share what I know. Because I don't want people to go through what I went through. And what I went through is, it took me 9 years. I lost money. I got into debt. I'm still in debt. I'm trying to pay it off now. So if you're looking for someone who's going to impress you, someone who's going to flash the Lambos and stuff like that, that's not me. It's not who I am. It will never be who I am. If you're looking for someone who's going to impress you, in the beginning of my TikTok, I'll be honest, I was flashing a lot of screenshots, but that was mostly to just get your attention. And now that I have your attention, we're not doing that anymore. Okay? So for me, what's important is helping people to not deal with the shit I had to. Because it was really bad. It was really bad. And that's what I'm here to help out with today. So Big Tobias is in the house, finally. Sir, we've been waiting for you, Your Majesty. Freddie, hi, welcome. Baban Hanan, thank you for the rose. DeLuca, thank you. I see you. Yo, 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 Freddie. Freddie's my Let me tell you guys the truth. I don't actually trade. Freddie gives me signals. Freddie, I'm gonna put you in trouble today. I lied, oh, when I calm down. Baban, thank you for the roses. I appreciate you. So, we were in the TikTok. Hey, Achille 825 from Greece. That's amazing. All the way over there, huh? It's good to have you here. Freddie, don't worry. So, we're just going to talk today. And what I would like to talk about is the fact that ultimately we are human. So, being human in a business like trading means that sometimes you will make decisions that land you in hot water. Okay? For instance, let me speak personally, and I'm sure that a lot of you will be able to relate to this. In fact, this is somebody in the group literally just shared the same experience. I think it was Big to, I'm not sure. But basically, he was like, hey, Gilly, basically, it's like this. You get into a trade, you're doing well for the week. You're doing amazingly well. It's beautiful. You're already thinking about all the things you're going to do with that money. But the week is not over yet. In fact, maybe you made that money on Monday. Okay? So it's like there's 4 more days of the week if you're trading Forex. So why would you chill, right? It's Monday. It's only Monday, and you're up by 2% or whatever, or 5% or whatever. And so because it's not yet the end of the week, we hop onto the charts again the next day. And then we give away a little bit of that profit. So maybe what you made was $2,000 and then you give away like 200. And now you're looking at that pissed because what do you mean? I was up 2,000. I expect to either at least still be at 2,000 or I expect to be a little higher than that. So what the hell do you mean I'm down to 1,800? And that's where the first red flag pops up, but you're not aware of it. So you're hopping in there, and now what was actually a failed setup, meaning you saw the trade, you followed your rules and everything, but it didn't work out. You've forgotten that you're in a business where you can follow all the rules and that trade doesn't work out. It doesn't mean you're a bad trader. It just means it was not going to work out. The market did its thing. But now, what blinds you to seeing that it didn't work out is the fact that, but I was up 2,000 and now you've cut me down to 1,800. What the hell do you mean? I'm going to make that back. Not only am I going to make that back, I'm going to make even more what I was originally planning to make in the first place. Oh, not only that, I spent all of Monday fantasizing about how Tuesday is definitely going to be another $2,000 day. So now you're telling yourself, okay, I need to make this back as quickly as possible because trading is about being free anyway, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase my risk. I know normally it's supposed to be like 1%, but I think I'm going to do 2% now. Besides, I know about ranges and liquidity. And besides, liquidity makes my trading more accurate, doesn't it? Right. So let's jump back in. So we jump back in, and then you notice that the market is going in your favor. And now you're feeling confident and cocky. Yeah, I own this. I know exactly what the market's going to do. I'm very good at this. I figured it out. I know what it's going to do because I have a range defined. No range, no trade, right? No problem. And then the market pushes up, and now you're sitting at about maybe $2,000, $2,100 in profits. And something in you is like, okay, can you see this fair value gap over here on this high time frame? Do you think maybe there's a chance the market may actually pull away and take your profits and then some if you don't close now? And you're thinking to yourself, no, I've got this. And remember, we're targeting an extra $2,000 today. So now we're not just targeting 2,000, we're targeting 2,200 because we need to make up that $200 loss. And so you're in it, and right now you're actually up by $500, maybe $600, and something's telling you, take your money and just go. Wait for another setup. There'll be another setup. But no, you have to have that 2K. And so you hold. And then the market does exactly what it's supposed to do at the level that you saw, but you felt like your will or your ancestors or your whatever you felt would be a good enough reason to hold because no, the market's going to give you some more. And now you're down again. And now you're not down $200 again, you're down 400 because you doubled your risk. See, I could tell you the story and some of you can relate because we are all human beings. We all have it. Even me that I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to you because I'm some master or some guru or some shit. I'm just talking to you because I feel like sharing because it is the truth. Because even now, I've had to deal with that. I mentioned, I don't know which live it was, I said I blew an account recently. And some people will hear that and be like, that must mean you don't know how to trade. No, technically, I was experimenting with something that I shouldn't have. That's thing number one. But thing number two, even if I weren't experimenting, I'm not so arrogant as to assume that it is impossible for me to make mistakes. Why? I repeat, because I am human. And so we must develop a practice of being aware of these tendencies within us and being willing to correct them. So let me quickly look at the lives today for now. Steady, same way I blew my account yesterday. Joshua, just how I blew my account today. Yeah, so that happens. That happens. Big Tobias, that's me. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. And you actually made quite a fair bit. Bullet, you're not late. You're not late. Hi, Gilly. I said hi already. So then you blow the account and you spend, if you have extra capital, you go and refund again because how dare the market take your money? And if you don't have extra money, because that was like the account you were banking on to pull you out of your shit, your financial issues, then you go spend the next 3 days, maybe a full week thinking about how you're a terrible trader. And that's not the case. You see, I keep saying this over and over, and it's something that it can be really hard to accept. It can be really hard to accept. We are in the business of probability. And probability here, what are we referring to? The probability of you winning or losing. When I first came into trading, my whole mindset was, oh, wow, this is amazing. I met this guy, I'm not going to mention his name. It starts with a B, that's what I'm going to say. He had this strategy, which I would soon learn I didn't have to pay for. It was available on the internet for free, which was basically when the RSI is at 30 and the MACD is crossing underneath buy. And when the RSI is at 70 and the MACD is crossing on top, sell. And I didn't know anything about trading then. I really thought that the indicators were the thing to use, not understanding that the indicator actually lags behind price. Price is the ultimate indicator. So I didn't know this. And he was teaching us this on a 1 minute chart. He never mentioned anything about going to higher time frames or the significance of looking at higher time frames. And if he ever did, or if I ever learned anything about that from Baby Pips or somewhere, all I kept thinking to myself was, why would I want to wait for so long when I can actually be on the 1 minute and keep making win after win? And it didn't help that in the group we were in, there were lots of people sending screenshots, not of their trade, not of the reasons they took the trades, but you just see people getting lots of winning trades back to back. A couple of things I didn't understand was going on was, number one, these people were scalping. Number two, some of these people already had prior experience. So they were adding what they knew to that. And then number three, my dumb ass really thought, so today I'm going to make $100. Then tomorrow it'll be 200. Then next tomorrow it'll be 400. I had a book where I was just fantasizing and just writing the amounts every day. But that's not how it works. So you have to first make peace with the idea that you are dealing in a space of probability, in a space of uncertainty. And when you are somewhere where the outcome is not certain, you cannot afford to not be certain of yourself. And this is why developing self-awareness is the ultimate hack, not just for trading, but for everything else. Because you and I, we're humans, which means we have emotions. And we've been socialized since we were young to identify strongly with these emotions, right? So it took, it wasn't until about a couple of years ago when I realized something about, what is it called? Is it metacognition or meta states? Basically, the idea is this: you can feel an emotion and you don't have to act on it. You can feel a different way about this emotion. In other words, so let's say I take a trade and I feel sad. I feel angry because I lost money, right? It's okay to feel that anger. When people say, oh, you have to be a robot when you're trading, not quite. It's okay to feel the anger, and in fact, you should process it. It's just that you've not learned how to make anger a tool. So you can actually have a feeling about that anger. And the feeling about that anger can be one of just pure awareness, neutrality. I am aware that I am angry. So this is why I said self-awareness is key. You have to begin to sit with yourself and pay attention to what happens inside of you. And that means focusing on all the things that trigger you on a day-to-day basis. They must not be trading related. If you're only waiting for a trading related experience to trigger you, you're robbing yourself. So I'm actually sharing a little bit of something that I was not supposed to, because I wanted to keep it just for the people in the spirit group. But I'll go ahead and share just a little bit of it here, which is you have to start waking up to the things that trigger you on a daily basis. If you do not wake up to those things, you'll stay asleep. And that's why when you go to trade and you make a mistake or you lose money, you enter into this frenzied state. I know some of you can recognize this, where you're in that trading state where you cannot think straight anymore. When you come back to the charts later, hours later, and you look at your trades, you're like, but look at this setup. Why didn't I just switch directions? Why did I keep insisting that the market must go up when it was going down? What was wrong with me? You were not stupid. It's not that you were stupid. It's not that you're an idiot. It's not that you don't understand the rules. You do. You're a smart person. I don't know an idiot that would be in trading. It's that your emotions got the better of you. So it's like being in a dream. If you guys have ever had a lucid dream before, you know the difference between a lucid dream and a dream where you're not even aware you're dreaming. So a lucid dream is where you know you're dreaming. So it's the same thing when it comes to emotions. When those emotions hit, you don't even recognize that you are now in their grip. And the funny thing is, you don't have to be, because actually, you are not your feelings. You are the one having the feelings. You are the observer of those feelings. But because we have so been trained over time to identify closely with our thoughts and our feelings, it's hard to separate the two. And that's why, typically, people don't recognize there's multiple ways to express your anger than the typical way you would. So, like a really bad actor that goes for an audition and they give you lines and they say, read this as if you're angry. And the default thing everybody does is, oh my God, you are very stupid. You're mad. Why would you understand what I'm trying to say? But it's like somebody else comes in and they're delivering that same line with anger, but they're not screaming. It's a different way. It's a different method. You know, there's multiple ways to express and experience an emotion. But for you to be able to tune into that, you must first become self-aware. So the question is, how do you develop that self-awareness? You must begin bit by bit to make space in your head for the idea that, number one, you are not this body. Number two, you are not the thoughts that echo in your head, that rattle around. Now, it's very, very convincing. All these thoughts, they're very convincing because when you hear them, they have your voice. And you would trust your voice, wouldn't you? However, I am begging you to begin to realize that a lot of those thoughts that you have are not yours. Sometimes you're picking them up from the ether. Other times it is the thoughts that have been ingrained in you right from when you were a child, from your parents, your guardians, the media, the books you read. All of these things, even when you are asleep, your mind is absorbing information. And all of these things come together to shape you for better or for worse. So, for you to become cognizant of the stories that you've bought into that affect how you behave as a trader, you must become self aware. And that comes through, like it or not, mindfulness practices. What do I mean? There are very simple things you can do every day, and I'm hoping someone somewhere is taking notes because it will not just transform your trading. I'm telling you, this thing I'm about to share will transform your life as well. So, what does it mean to be mindful? To be mindful does not mean to have lots of thoughts in your head. No, to be mindful is to be present, to be here now. Let me explain. A lot of us, we either are usually stuck in the past, thinking about things we should have done differently, regrets that we had or whatever, or reminiscing about when things were better than now. If we're not doing that, then we're stuck in the future, planning how the future is supposed to work out and everything. Rarely ever are we in the present moment right now. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're not really listening to the person. You're not being here absorbing the experience of not just what they're saying, but what they're not saying. Instead, you're racing ahead to the future to start processing a response to what they're saying. And then that way you rob yourself of what would have been a richer conversation. And I know this sounds like it has nothing to do with trading, but I promise you that it is, because how you do anything is how you do everything. When it comes to developing mindfulness, it's about being here now. And the thing about being here now, the thing about the present, is that it is devoid of thought. And I know that's going to sound weird as shit because your mind is programmed to think. It's called the monkey mind for a reason. It jumps from one topic to another topic to another topic, here, there, here, there. If you allow it to hook onto a specific topic, you will notice that it starts to blossom out and create even more thoughts, more children thoughts that are in line with that one thing. And that's how you begin to spiral. What I'm defining for you is how you begin to spiral when you've had a loss, and then you have the thought that I need to make that loss back, and then you have another loss, and that tells you, oh my God, I'm a terrible trader. No, I have to prove that I'm not a terrible trader. And after all, I have listened to Nessa talk about ranges and liquidity, so it must be, no. So let's get back in again. And that's how you keep spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And that's how you fall asleep, even when you are awake. I'm telling you, some of you think that you are awake right now, and this is not me talking down to you, because even I have those moments myself, which is why these practices are essential, which is why even me as I am, I will never ever stop doing them. No matter how enlightened, I don't believe that that's something that is one person's purview. It's available for everyone. But for you to attain that, you have to become aware of yourself, which means being aware of what's happening in your inner world. Because it is only when you are aware that you can step back and stop. So I mentioned lucid dreaming. If you've never had a lucid dream before, it's basically when you are in a dream and then you wake up inside the dream and realize, wait a minute, none of this shit is real. I do not have to engage with the storyline. And so you step back. Suddenly, if you were dealing with a scary dream and it was monsters, they're no longer scary to you. Because you also recognize in that lucid dream, now that you are awake, you can control what is happening around you. In other words, or even better, you control your responses to that. So you can either continue to engage from a more mindful place, or better yet, you disengage from that dream entirely by either waking up or going to do something else in your dream. And I am not speaking in parables. I'm talking very literally. If you've never had a lucid dream before, I recommend highly that you check it out, that you actually study how to become lucid. And what I'm going to share with you today, all of that will help you. Along with that, the goal is not lucid dreaming, mind you. The goal is waking you up to the dream that your emotional state wraps you in. Because when you are in a dream, think about it, you are caught up in the story that's playing out. So as an example, let's say you're in a dream, you're in the middle of a crowded place. Everyone can see you. And in that dream, you are butt naked. So you're not aware that it's a dream, which means that in that dream, you are embarrassed as fuck because everybody can see all your bits. But the minute that you recognize, oh, wait, it's just a dream, you're not bothered by that anymore because you know all of that's going on around you is of your making. You know you have the option to conjure clothes and put on yourself, or just walk away from the scene, or stand there, have fun shaking your things all around because it's a dream. Now you're in control. It's the same thing with your emotions. So we fall asleep. When we start acting in impulsive ways, then you come back to yourself. It's like, forget about trading for now. It's like when you're engaging with someone and you say some really harsh words from a place of anger or deep pain, and then you finally come back to yourself and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I didn't mean that. This is what's happening. Why you're saying you don't know what came over you? What came over you was the fact that you fell asleep. So what I'm going to share is going to help you become aware of that inner observer, because that's who you really are, is pure awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your physical senses. What you are is the thing that is aware of me speaking right now. That's who you really are. And if you bring that same awareness to your trading, when the emotions come, and they will, you will find it easier to step back, to recognize, yes, I'm angry I lost this trade. I'm very upset. I can feel that. But I can also feel the anger as a separate part of me. So as something to observe. I can observe it. I can allow it to be expressed in a different way than I usually do. I can observe it without acting the way I would normally do, which is to take another trade. So maybe instead of taking a trade, you go outside and you throw a few rocks at a gate or something, or a wall, or you punch, if you have a punching bag at home or something. There's so many ways you could exert that anger. And what you'll notice is by honoring it in that situation, because I'm not telling you not to feel. No, I'm telling you that you can express whatever you feel in a different way. You must not take it out on your trading account, on your broker, on the market. The market is neutral. It doesn't feel anything. Your broker is also neutral. How many dollars did you lose compared to the trillions that they probably transact with every year? So they're not trying to attack you, and all of that anger is wasted. You might as well just find a different way to process it. So I said again, it all comes down to self-awareness, and it's this. One of the things that you can do to bring yourself to that present state of mind, present, meaning you're not judging anything, you're not looking, so for instance, now there's stuff going on around you, you're not having any judgment about what's happening. You're not saying, oh, this is good, this is bad. You're just here and you're just present. We talked about developing in that through mindfulness. A useful mindfulness practice you can try is the next time you are in the middle of that angry state, first of all, close that laptop. Close the laptop, even if it's for 5 minutes. I want you to make part of your losing plan. So if you have a journal or whatever, you have a plan in place for how you deal with losses. Part of that plan should be step number 1. As soon as I lose, close the laptop. It doesn't matter if when you first start out, you close your laptop for 5 minutes. If you do that, just close it for 5 minutes. And then I personally have this goal tracking app where when I do something that I plan to do, I get a tick. And I get a kick out of watching and seeing how as the days progress, I'm seeing so many ticks there. So if I close my laptop and then sit down for, even if it's 5 minutes, the point is you, for 5 minutes, did not react. You did not take out your anger on your charts, on your account. And in the beginning, I say 5 minutes because you're already used to reacting immediately. You're already used to, oh, no, I lost this trade. Now I have to jump back in. No, just close it. 5 minutes. And you're going to pay attention to, during those 5 minutes, notice all of the thoughts that are going through your head. And notice all of the feelings, because feelings are not just in your head. They're actually in your body. So I need you to notice the parts of your body where you get really stiff. Notice your breathing. You're probably breathing too shallow. So you need to breathe, take in more air. Breathe in through your nose, hold it, and then exhale through your lips. The exhale will be longer than the inhale, and that's fine. What you're doing is you're regulating yourself because your feelings, they drive your thoughts, but they're also in your body. So if you can start to become aware of what's happening in your body as well, that will help you with regulating your mood, regulating your actions that you take after that. Now, once your 5 minutes have elapsed, you can open your laptop again. But the goal is, with time, I would advise you to keep increasing the number of minutes that you spend with your laptop closed. Okay, so if you started 5 minutes this week, you kept going for 5 minutes. Every time you had a loss, you closed your laptop for 5 minutes. You're noticing what's happening in your head. You're noticing what's happening in your body, noticing without identifying with. So, what does that mean? I'm not saying start to criticize these emotions as bad. No, emotions are good, they're wonderful messengers. If you start to feel anger, the anger is not telling you to get back your money. That's what you've been programmed to believe. The anger is actually telling you, get up and walk away. This is a new program, a new story that you can ascribe to the anger. So in the past, you may have seen anger as, no, when I'm angry, it means I must correct this thing that is making me angry. Now, you're going to choose differently, which is, when I'm angry, I'm going to give this thing some space. It's just asking me to take a step back and relax and come back later because now is not the time. Your emotions, I don't like to brand them negative and positive because they are all your friends. Your emotions are your friends. If you are feeling angry or sad about something, you're lost. It's just telling you, chill, take a step back. It doesn't mean don't feel it. Feel it, absolutely, but take a step back. So for the first week, you close your laptop, 5 minutes, then you resume trading. The second week, step it up to 10 minutes. And during that 10 minutes, you don't have to remain seated at your laptop. Maybe you say, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and what I'll do is I'll take a walk. So you take a walk. Once you're 5 minutes away from your house, you start turning back. 5 minutes and you're back. If you people trade on your phone, you take a walk, you drop that phone in the house. You drop it in the house so you don't make stupid decisions as you're walking. Then you come back, and then you open your tick or your calendar or whatever it is you're using to mark those goals, and you do that. You must have some way to celebrate the fact that you closed your laptop. Because when you celebrate, you're telling yourself, you're telling your subconscious mind that this thing I have done is a very good habit to have. For some reason, this person likes it, so we must keep doing this. And then with time, as you start to notice an unbroken chain of you constantly closing your laptop after every loss, you become proud of that. And then the third week, you push yourself, okay, 30 minutes, I will walk away. 30 minutes, I will walk away. You tick every time you have a loss. You walk away, 30 minutes. And then with time, you begin to expand that. Okay, maybe an hour. Okay, maybe the next day. You see, it's like a muscle. We talk a lot about working out your body. We understand how the process of working out your body is. You go to the gym, you lift heavy weights. The heavy weights cause micro tears in your muscles, and those micro tears, your body sends all the nutrients required to patch them up, and it's in the process of patching that your muscles become stronger and are able to bear more load, and then you become a stronger person for it, right? In the same way, you have muscles on the inside. You have the muscle of your awareness, and you must begin to work with it. Work with it by embracing the emotions and also embracing the idea that you never have to act on it in the same way you always have. And even if when you first start out this exercise, you find that you're still responding to your anger in the same way, you should have a journal. You write that thing down because guess what? You are becoming aware. You're becoming aware, and that is a win. That's where that starts. It first starts with the seed of awareness. You first become aware of the habit. And then, as you become aware of the habits, you become aware that you are not the thing. It's just something you do. The thing you do is not who you are, which means you are greater than the thing that you do, which means you can drop that thing and pick something else to do. Now, for an actual mindfulness practice that you can do every day, this for me is how it works. First thing in the morning when I wake up is the first thing I do before I get out of bed. I sit down, I close my eyes, and I breathe. I meditate. That's what I'm basically saying. So how does that work? I close my eyes, I have my lips slightly parted, I breathe in through my nose, and then I hold it for a bit, then I exhale through my mouth. And as I'm breathing in, I'm making sure that my lungs and my belly, they're getting all the air. And my attention stays on my breath. Now, when I notice my breath is wandering, or rather my attention is wandering away from the breath, I don't get angry with myself because the point of the practice is noticing. It is the noticing that helps you wake up more and more every day. So it's noticing when your mind has traveled. You don't get upset. As a matter of fact, you should be glad because that's the goal. Oh, you've noticed. And now you shift your mind back to your breathing. It will wander again, you shift it back. I don't care if your mind wanders every millisecond. You keep bringing it back to your breath. And you can do this for just 5 minutes a day. It will change your life. I do it first thing in the morning. I do it last thing at night. I personally give it at least 15 minutes. It will transform your life. And what you will begin to notice as you practice this mindful breathing is that you truly are not the emotions and the thoughts. You are not them. You've just been mistaking yourself for them. You will notice that you are the awareness. Even the next time that you find yourself crying over something or you're sad over something, you will notice a distinction between the you who is feeling that emotion in that moment and yet another larger seeming presence, which is who you actually are, that is observing you crying. But you cannot be aware of these things if you do not put it to work. If you don't practice what I'm teaching you, it just sounds like I am talking out my ass. Everything that I say, I do not like when people just swallow it hook, line, and sinker. I love a skeptic, and I especially love a skeptic that is going to go back home or go back after this live and commit and say, okay, I'm going to make this a 7-day experiment or a 30-day experiment or a 60-day experiment. Let's see if this thing this person is saying actually makes any changes. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Don't come back. Come and block me. That's fine. But when you split your life, like I said last time, I said, I love to do experiments with my life, 30-day experiments, 60-day experiments. Okay, let's see how this works out. That's how you know. You can't just listen and think that you've got it, and now your trading is going to be automatically better. I will never guarantee you that it's going to automatically change. You have to put in the work yourself to discover, first of all, am I full of shit? And then second of all, if this works for this, what other ways could I apply it to my life? So on Fridays, we always talk about these things, and I keep saying repeatedly, it's not just about trading, it's about your life. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you practice this mindfulness, that's one form. Another thing you could do is for 5 minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes a day, you look around you and you start looking for something that's red. You're just looking for red things. Or pick any color you want to. Or you could listen for specific sounds. Okay, I'm listening for high-pitched sounds, different high-pitched sounds. What can I pick up around me? Because what that does for you is it brings you to the present. It teaches you how to be here now. When you learn how to be here now, it's pretty tough for your emotions to run away with you. And I've said this before. I've noticed that primarily my audience is made up of mostly men. And I've said before that the thing about being a man is you have been socialized to not express your emotions. You cannot tell me you don't feel. I don't care how big and muscly you are, how deep your voice is. You're a man. You're a human. You feel. The problem is society has taught you that it is wrong for you to do so, that it is wrong for you to express your feelings. And so you guys don't cry. Or if you do cry, you make sure you're not being seen when it comes to actually sharing and being vulnerable about what you're going through. You'd rather keep quiet. And I'm telling you that this also affects how you trade. You may not believe it, and it may seem like I'm just yanning nonsense, especially if you're a tough guy, big man. And it's not your fault. I will not hold that against you because, again, you've been socialized to think that you should feel nothing. But the thing about emotions is you suppressing them does not mean that they disappear. They are still very much there. And that is why one day, randomly, you have this horrible outburst that affects people around you. And you're wondering why you're behaving the way you're wondering. So rather, you're wondering why you're behaving the way you are. But what you don't realize is all of those emotions, you've stuffed them down. And what's happening is they're building pressure. They're building, and eventually it'll come out. If it's not going to affect someone in your life, it'll also affect your trading. Sometimes you think that the trades you take are about the things you see on the chart, but sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's actually about things you've been feeling that you refuse to confront because, of course, you're a man. You should feel nothing. And that is not how life works. I am asking you to befriend your emotions. I'm not saying you should go around crying. If you find that embarrassing still, you find it embarrassing, that's fine. But I am saying that each day, or at least even if it's once a week, sit down with yourself, turn off your cell phone, turn off your laptop, no distractions. Sit, think through your experiences, whether from that week or from the past, whether it's something you've not yet processed. Allow it. Don't try to rationalize. Allow yourself to feel it. It will show up in your body. You will have thoughts about it, yes, but it will show up in your body. And however it shows up, don't stifle it. Let it out. If you need to lock your door, no problem, because you don't want anyone to see you in your feelings. No problem. But you must begin to release those things because you think it has nothing to do with your trading, but it does. Sometimes you jump into the chart to start trading, not because you are prepared to trade, but because you have points to prove. You're convinced that you have this feeling of inadequacy. You've looked around, you're the man of the house, and people are kind of looking to you, thinking that you need to make something of yourself so that everybody else can relax, because that's what society is buying into. And now you feel all of this pressure. And so you're opening up the chart, not because there's an actual setup, but because there's all of that stuff in your head, even if you're not thinking about it consciously. So then what? You start to jump into trades way before you should because you feel like you have a point to prove, like you have things to take care of. It is these things, when you do not acknowledge these feelings within you, they will leak somewhere. They will bleed onto everything that you do. And they will continue to affect you adversely until you make friends with them and stop treating them like demons, because they're not. Your emotions, including the negative ones, negative in quotes, because no such thing. They are your friends. They are messengers. This is the funny thing that most people don't realize. They keep trying to avoid their feelings. But if you make a practice of unabashedly sitting down with that feeling and letting it course through your body and mind, let it rack you. If it's that you want to rock back and forth, you want to cry, you want to punch something, whatever, let it express yourself. You want to go on a rant, let it out. Because what happens is, once you have allowed that feeling to be expressed, then you've let it out. It's no longer inside you. You're clearer, you're freer. And then you start to approach not just the charts, but everything in your life with more clarity. Now you're no longer acting from a place of impulsivity. You're no longer acting from that because you are now clear. It is unfortunate that in our schools today, we don't talk about the emotional well-being of people as much as we should. As much as we have the science of biology, which is great. You had your integrated science and then you had your biology and advanced biology. That's awesome. That's fantastic. It's unfortunate, however, that we've not talked about emotions. So, when you become aware of your emotions, when you start to honor them, and when you start to recognize them as not who you are, but something that you experience. You are the experiencer. That's who you are. When you start to realize this, you start to create that space. So now you notice you can actually sit across from someone and be like, I'm actually very angry with you. And they wouldn't be able to believe it because you're really chill. Not like the you of the past where you would have maybe given them the silent treatment or you'd be slamming doors or some type of thing. No. You'd actually be able to sit with sadness and recognize, yes, I feel sad. I feel horrible about this thing. Maybe it's this trade that I missed out on. Maybe it's this thing that I lost, this trade that I lost. But you can feel that sadness and be like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay to feel the sadness. I feel the sadness. That doesn't mean I have to do anything about it right now. I can just feel it right now. And then when I'm done feeling it, I can come back later. You guys have been taught that it is wrong to feel soft, to be soft. And I'm telling you that this is the problem. Hard guy will not get you anywhere. Hard guy is how you have so many things compressed within you that need to be let out, and then you let it out in unhealthy ways that won't serve you at the end. And that's how you wind up gambling. And I'm not judging you. I swear I am not judging you because, yes, I'm a woman, but even I grew up in a space that did not allow me to comfortably express myself or my feelings. So when I'm speaking to you, I know what I'm talking about. Mine was not because, oh, you're a woman, you shouldn't cry. Mine was simply that I was not allowed. I was not allowed to be soft or to be weak. So I understand what I'm telling you and I am not judging you. This is not a judgment. I'm telling you that until you begin to process that, and how do you process? You must feel it and release it. You must feel it and release it every day. It is continuous work. There will never be a pointed time where you get to and it's like, oh, I'm clear now. No, you keep going. And then eventually, the quality of your life will improve, which means, I said, the quality of your life, which includes your trading. This is the part that many mentors and gurus and whatnot don't like to talk about, or maybe they don't know, I don't know. But I'm just telling you what I've learned. Because part of the reason it took me 9 bloody years was I was carrying so much baggage, so much, and I felt like I had a lot to prove. And for me, a lot to prove meant that I would study everything. I would study every ICT concept. Not only that, I was going to study Malaysian S&R, and I was going to study supply and demand, and the rally-based rally, and all of that stuff. I would learn everything to the point where I become a master. And that, it ruined me, and it slowed down my progress. It ruined me completely. That perfectionist tendency, it had nothing to do with just being passionate about trading. It was because I had points to prove. It was because I had been relegated as the black sheep of the family and I needed to show them. I needed to show them, look who's laughing now. I had many points to prove and many motherfuckers to make feel terrible because they looked down on me. And that's like the worst possible reason to want to be a trader, to want to do anything. You want to do it for you because it is a true expression of who you are, not just to prove a point. Don't get me wrong, some people have used absolute spite to make it through life. But are you like that? Is that your path? Is that what you want to do? And if that's the thing you want to do, it may very well work out, but then occasionally you'll be doing well, and then suddenly you have this period where you just do everything wrong, boom, and then you're back at zero. So you must become self-aware. Any other thing that I teach you about how to regulate your emotions, how to notice that you're not the same thing as them, all of that stuff, it's good stuff, it's great stuff. But ultimately, what you really need at the core is to become aware. So I mentioned, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I touched on something that I knew would ruffle a few feathers. I was talking about dream yoga, Tibetan dream yoga. If you're in the group, I dropped a PDF there for you to learn about it. But the whole idea is as you practice, you start to recognize that it is not just when you are asleep that you dream, that the waking life is also a dream. This does not mean that physical reality is not real. No. What I am saying is what is real is your perception. So whether you're perceiving something while you're asleep or you're perceiving it while you're awake, it's the same thing. And you can apply the same way of looking at dreams to the way you look at your losses. So one time, over a decade ago, I went to an acting school. And I was always one of the first people to volunteer myself for different prompts. I didn't mind looking like an idiot, I was fine with it. I came there to learn, so I was prepared to look stupid. I was prepared to ruffle some feathers. I didn't care because I knew what I wanted to get out of the class. And then after one specific class, once someone approached me and she asked me, how is it that because I know that people talk shit about you. And I know that people mock you. And yet you continue to show up and put yourself out there. And I told her, I said, well, it's the same thing with a dream. If I'm having a dream and I'm not aware in the dream and I notice that I'm naked, people are looking at me and I'm so embarrassed. When I wake up from the dream, do I start asking myself, oh my God, all those people saw me naked. Oh God, what am I going to do? How am I going to face them? Blah, 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 blah. No, I wouldn't do that because they don't count. I said, so the difference for me is when it comes to physical reality as well, I view it the exact same way. That's why I've said to you multiple times before, you can't shame me. You can't embarrass me. You have to be able to shame someone. They have to have shame in the first place and embarrassment. There was a time in my life where it was so easy to do that. Now I don't care. I truly and genuinely don't. And I'm hoping to help people begin to awaken to that. Because when you wake up to the fact that this waking life, you're looking at me right now, it's very real, isn't it? It is real. I'm not saying it's not real, but I'm saying that you must think of it just like a dream. And when you start to do that, you will begin to develop that detachment from, oh, I lost a trade. Oh God, I want to die. Or, oh, I want to trade. I'm the best trader ever. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy things, and I'm not saying you shouldn't feel sad, but I'm saying you'll start to develop that awareness that ultimately, as serious as life is, it's not that serious. You'll start to recognize it. And when you are in that state where you don't deep it, you're not deeping your trading, you're not hinging your entire existence, your joy, your happiness on whether I win this one trade today or I lost this one trade today. I don't care. Even if you lost 10 trades in a row, once you are not attaching yourself, your identity, your value to whether or not you've won or lost a trade, you are in the perfect place because now the next time you open up your charts, you're seeing clearly. Your emotions are not blinding you. And if they well up again, now you can tell when they're coming up and you don't even need for a trade. That's why you'll be able to even close your trade before it hits your stop loss. Because a lot of people think of stop losses as, yeah, that's the ultimate exit. But if you and I can be very honest with ourselves, there are times when you know already this trade is not going to work out, but you're still leaving your trade in place and saying, okay, just maybe the trade, yeah, it's only a few pips away, but maybe that's the point where it'll turn around. But you and I both know damned well that trade is no longer valid. You're seeing signs on the chart that it's no longer valid. This, when you have this clarity, it becomes easy for you to see a trade and be like, yeah, nah, okay, I was wrong about this. And you don't make it deep anymore. Because this is the problem. You and I, when we were young, they taught us to measure our worth by our rightness and wrongness about things. So you go and try something and you fail, that means you're a terrible person. You are a failure. Not that you failed at the thing. No, you are a failure. There's something wrong with you. That's the messaging we got. And then when you go and you do a thing and you win, oh, you are a winner. You are amazing, blah, blah, blah. And you are amazing. But the thing is, you were already amazing whether you won or not. But life and the current system that we are in, if you look around the world, it requires you to buy into this story, this idea that you must always continue to strive. Because imagine a world where everybody suddenly wakes up and realizes, actually, it's not that deep and we don't need to play this game anymore. Now what? The people who depend on the system to remain that way are going to be up in arms. They'll be terrified. So we can't have that. And so we start training children from when they're young to tie their self-worth to whether they've done well or not, to tie their self-worth to how much, to whether they've gotten an A plus or an F, to tie their self-worth as adults to whether they have 7 figures or 6 figures and in which particular currency is said 7 figures or 6. It never ends. The goalpost continues to move. You'll become a millionaire, and then you'll find that, oh, now there's another rung of the ladder to climb because you thought you were hot shit, and now there's a set of people that's looking at you funny because no, you're a millionaire in like what? 7 figures. That's gross. Come up higher. We're in the 8-figure club, and then you get to, and then you're in the 8-figure. No, and we're in the 9-figure. It never ends. At what point? This is the secret. What I'm telling you right now is the secret to peace. It's the secret to peace. Peace is always here, is always now. The only reason you don't notice that peace is because we continue to muddy it with all of these ideas of shoulds and shouldn'ts. There is a very, very funny thing that happens, which is when you start to make peace with the idea that I'm going to put this trade on and it may lose. When you come to the charts every day with that mindset of, I may end this day with a loss. It's not about being negative. It sounds like I'm being negative, but hear me. It's not about the words, it's about the attitude with which you come, which is, I may end this day with a loss, but that's not the end of the world. It takes nothing from me. It takes nothing from me. How could it? When you come with that attitude, then you find you're making clearer decisions. You're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. I typed something, I don't know if it was in the group or it's a video where, but I'll say it again. You come to the state where you recognize as you're practicing that idea of not only are your dreams dreams, but your waking life is also a kind of dream, which means it only means as much meaning. It only has as much meaning as you assign to it. Then you come to a place, this is my mantra: nothing to change, nothing to fix, nothing to gain, nothing to lose, nothing to prove, nor to pursue. I am awake within the dream. I am the dreamer and the dream. I make the dream. And as the person who makes the dream, if I am experiencing a loss in the dream, I can make the dream what I want it to be by just closing my charts and walking away and going to watch something on Netflix or something. I don't have to keep going. Because the reason that a lot of the losses you experience happen, it's not okay. There's losses that will come even if you continue to follow your trading rules. That's fine. It's the cost of doing business. It's okay. There's nothing deep about it. But I'm talking about the losses that you know you could have avoided. Those start to actually reduce. It is when you practice this, and I'm begging you, I'm asking you, I know it sounds weird as shit, the whole idea of what do you mean we're awake right now? If you were not awake, how would you be seeing me on your phone screen or your laptop, wherever you're watching? Like, it doesn't make sense. What the hell is this bitch talking about? Listen, when you start to become aware that you can treat this waking life in the same way that you treat a dream, you stop giving in to being led around by the nose, by your emotions. Doesn't mean you won't feel them. It just means you recognize now, I can act differently. I've brought this analogy several times before. I said, those of you who are not single, you have partners. The next time you guys have an argument, the next time you guys fight one another, what I want you to do, grab that person. Grab that person, hold them in your arms. Hug them. Hug them, hold them, smile, laugh. Listen, you are annoying me right now. You are annoying me right now. See what you're doing. I don't like it. And each time you're talking, maybe just act differently. You don't need to scream. Act differently and see what happens. Notice how the outcome shifts. Notice how, yes, you both have a misunderstanding, but now it's easier to resolve because you're not acting in pre-programmed ways. And even if they're not in the mood to be held, that's fine. You don't take it personally because you still know that ultimately you're not reacting in a way that will escalate things. And even if in the moment they cannot perceive that because they are too lost in their own anger, in their own dream, when they eventually wake up, by which I mean calm down, by which I mean they're released from the grip of that emotion, they'll appreciate you for how you responded. And that's how you keep your relationships. This has turned into something else, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you think it's any different from trading, I'm telling you it's not. When you start to react differently to your losses on purpose, like, oh my God, I really want to enter a trade right now, but I'm going to close this laptop for just 10 minutes. I'm going to close it. Guess what? That's how you keep your money. That's how you keep it. Those of you who trade and make profits, and then after you've made the profit, you come the next day and then you've lost money. Remember that our analogy from the start? What's a different reaction you could have? How about, yeah, I'm going to withdraw this one that I made. This 400% I just made. Someone said that. I didn't come up with that. This 400% that I made, I'm going to withdraw it. How about that? Okay, yeah, the 400% got nicked a little bit now. You dropped down to 380 or whatever. By the way, these are not realistic figures. They're not realistic figures. Please do not misquote me. I'm quoting someone who said something in the group. But okay, so my 400 has turned into 380 or even heck 200, whatever. I'm just going to close the trade now and withdraw this because it's still profits at the end of the day. That's a different reaction. Or you could say, wow, there's my loss. But you know what? If I think about the average I typically make per day or per week, this is actually pretty good. So you know what? I'm done for the week. That's a different reaction. But for you to be aware of the choices that you have in the first place in terms of reactions, you must become aware of yourself, of what's going on in here and in here. And what's here is actually what drives here. There's an interconnection between the two. So don't think that it's just a matter of thinking. You must feel as well. If you do not like to feel, sorry. If you actually want a breakthrough, you're going to start feeling your emotions. Learn to feel them, to sit with them, and to recognize, hey, this is a friend, and I don't have to respond. I don't have to act. I don't have to. So it is midnight now, and I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to take a look at any comments, and then we'll call it. Freddie, thank you so much. I see you. I see you. Thank you. Ray, thank you very much. Bert, loss of freedom or trades due to emotions is disabling. Trading psychology at its best. Thank you, Joshua. Yes, DeLuca, you're very right. Not everything works 100%. So why does this trade sell when it's supposed to buy? The market's not supposed to anything. Let me tell you the truth, huh? So we do all these things from Monday to Thursday. We talk about charts, ranges, liquidity, and all of that. The honest truth is that all of those things are just, for lack of a better way to put it, excuses for us to find a reason to engage with the market, because we need that. Once you have put a trade on, you've put a trade on. There's nothing else you want to do. The trade is on. You must accept that. You must accept it. Once it's on, it's on. It does not mean that because you've put it on, it's now going to go in your favor. The market doesn't care. There are people with trillions of dollars, institutions with trillions of dollars moving this thing about. You think they give a damn about our $100 and $1,000 stop losses? No, they don't. What you do when you're trading, again, I said this from the start and I'll repeat myself, you are not in the business of certainty. The only thing you can be certain of is yourself. And to develop that certainty of yourself, you must become aware of yourself. And that's what this entire life has been about. You need something to hold on to in a business that is founded upon uncertainty. And the only thing you can hold on to is you. And if you do not know who you are, you have not mastered yourself, then of course the market's going to take you up and down everywhere. And it doesn't owe you. Just because you put a trade on doesn't mean it must go in your direction. I hope that helps. Let's see. Kazome, hi. Thank you so much. I see you. Did I trade gold today? Absolutamente no. I didn't actually trade anything today. Making the first is so true. Thank you. I see you. Sync Trading Effects. I see you. Vasty Parfait. I see you. Bert, let me know when you meditate to a level of out-of-body experience. Oh yeah, no, I do have out-of-body experiences. Fun things. Out-of-body experiences, that's like lucid dreaming on steroids. I don't want to get into that because some of you, not yet anyway. We'll eventually get there, but not yet. So that becomes a habit. KJR, I see you. Hey, thank you for the rose. I see you. I appreciate you. Bobbin, thank you so much for sharing. KJR, even in the market, we're observers, not workers or whatever. We don't act on impulse or emotion. Boom. Yes. Even in the market, you are there to observe and respond to what you observe, not react. The response is a conscious decision. Reaction is just automatic. Freddie Black, true or an audio file? Please post this on your Telegram channel, YouTube. I'd love to revisit. Yeah, I will. I'll download this. How you do anything is how you do everything. Absolutely. You're saying everything I've known but denied. Jeffrey. Yeah, it's about time. Seti, I refunded my account 3 times yesterday. Oh, Seti, it's well. It's well. All right, let me come back to the newer comments. I would absolutely love to hear about the dreaming. So interesting. Yeah, even better than hearing, you can practice it. But okay, let's talk about it. So the beautiful thing about dreams, lucid dreaming, is think of being literally, it feels like you're the god of that world, in the sense that you create your own experiences. It's like a faster, more compressed version of what you call the waking world. In other words, what you're aware of is what you experience. So I'll give you an example. I had a dream where I wasn't particularly lucid in this one, but I was speaking to a guy. And as I was speaking to him, I noticed that his face was starting to morph and become something really scary. And I got really scared. So I was terrified. And I noticed that the more scared I got, the more terrifying his features became. And then I got like sort of like a download in the back of my head that said, you can turn off your fear, turn it off and watch. And so I decided I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm actually going to get. So what I did, if I'm not being afraid, since energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? What am I going to do with that fear? So I transformed it into curiosity. So his face was scary and I became curious about it. Like, that's an interesting location for a horn. And as I peered at it and became curious, his face became normal again. And then deliberately, I switched back to fear and I noticed his face morphing to become fearful. And the lesson of that dream was basically whatever it is that you embody, that you choose to be aware of, that you focus on, that's what the life is going to reflect to you. So the point I raise through mentioning this example is how quickly things respond to you in lucid dreams. So for instance, when you become lucid, you could decide that you would like to fly. You could decide you would like to conjure something. Those of you who have never experienced what it's like to actually make money from trading, you could decide that you want to conjure the experience of watching yourself make a withdrawal, of holding the, and all of this is like taking the idea of visualization and putting it on steroids. By the way, those of you who visualize stuff, I hope that you do it in first person, meaning that when you visualize, you should not see yourself as someone who is outside, like on a TV, like an actor on a TV. Instead, you be the actor yourself, which means you wouldn't see your whole body. You just see your hands and your legs. You understand what I mean? You're not seeing your own face. So do it in first person. So lucid dreaming is like that. It's a perfect place too for if you are into the arts, those of you who like to come up with music, you can request for a song, a beautiful song, a wonderful song that's actually going to top charts and shit, and you will get it. You can ask for inspiration for a painting. You will get it. You'll see it. It's just that as soon as you wake up, you better be really quick. So this is the thing about lucid dreams, guys. When you wake up, don't move. Don't open your eyes and don't start thinking of other shit. Stay there. Think of the very last thing that you experienced in the dream and then walk backwards. The reason I'm telling you this is if you start to move, you forget everything. So just relax. Don't open your eyes. Don't move. Stay there and then allow the last thing. Even if you didn't have a lucid dream, if you start doing this practice alone, just start allowing the last thing and then, okay, what happened before that? What happened before that? Then when you have it all, you go and you write down whatever ideas it is you got from the dream, or just write down the dream itself. If you want to start experiencing lucid dreaming, you must begin to write down your dreams. Because when you write down your dreams, you're improving your ability to remember them. Your subconscious mind is of the opinion that this must be important because why else would this person be writing it down? So I'm going to make sure that she remembers. Every time I'm going to make sure that she remembers. When you go to bed with the intention to remember your dreams and to become lucid. Actually say it aloud to yourself. I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to remember everything, and I'm going to become lucid. And guys, don't be discouraged if you notice that you're not lucid the first night or the second night. Okay? I hope people are taking notes. I will still upload this video so you can go back and rewatch it on my YouTube. What else I want to say about lucid dreaming? You need to practice reality checks. So all through your day, you're going to do certain things that will become a habit that you will carry over into the dream world, where you will do it there, and then that will trigger you into realizing that you're awake. So what are some of the tests you have? Look at your hand. Try to push your finger through it. In real life, the idea is you should not be able to do that. But in your dream, you might be. You can also just look at your hands. So in real life, you should have 10 fingers if nothing has happened to you. But if you are in a dream, you'll probably see an extra one, or you see they're not complete, or you'll notice that they're wobbly or something. Another thing you could do is make a practice of just looking in the mirror. Check in the mirror and notice your features. In a dream, your features may be a little bit off. Okay? Another test you can do is try to tap the floor, like with your feet, as if you're trying to jump into the air. And then notice if you hover. So in real life, obviously, gravity is a thing. But in the dream life, if you just make like you're trying to jump and you notice that you're hovering, that should trigger you. Oh yeah, I'm awake. Another thing you could do is your phone. That's something all of us carry around with us. It has a specific weight and feeling to it. So once in a while, you could just pick up your phone, notice if there's anything weird about it. In real life, there'll be nothing weird. In the dream, you might notice it's too light or it's too heavy or it's bendy or something like that. That'll trigger you as well into realizing that you are actually having a dream. You could also try to walk through a wall. So if you try to walk through a wall, real life you can't. In a dream, you will be able to. You're going to have to do this at intervals every day. So not just once a day. You can have a specific alarm clock. So there's this app. It's called Awoken. I don't know if it's on iPhone, but it's definitely for Android. Awoken. It's a lucid dreaming app. And you can use it to set those trigger sounds and alerts. So when the alert goes off, you start to do your checks. And you can do them a number of times a day. What's going to happen is you carry that into the dream, and that will trigger you into being awake. Another thing that will help you is have a plan for what you want to do when you become lucid. Do you want to fly? You just want to fly around and have fun. Okay. Do you want to visit a specific place? No problem. Do you want to ask someone a question about something that's been bugging you to get an answer that might help you? That's fine. Do you want to meditate inside your dream for a deeper experience? That's one day. So there's so many things that you can do, and there's a lot to gain from it. And it just makes your life that much richer. You realize that this whole time, just because you're sleeping 8 hours, 10 hours a night or whatever, does not mean that you have to be doing nothing. You can take advantage of that. You can use it for all kinds of things. You can use it to rehearse the feeling of what it's like to be a winning trader. And that will spill over into your actual waking life and affect you positively as well. There's so many things you could do. You can conjure things out of nowhere, change the colors of things, change the locations of things, summon people, do stuff. Heck, some people get down and dirty in the dreams. I don't recommend it because I don't know, I don't know. No further comments. But there's all kinds of things you could do. And then that's just a hop, skip, and a step away from outer body projections or astral travel, which, yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it. We're going too far. But astral travel is basically you actually leaving your body. So you don't have just a physical body. And it's not the problem. You know what? I'm just going to say it as it is. Those people who will practice. And those who think it's crap will think it's crap. That's fine. But you don't just have one body, you have multiple bodies. So for astral projection, you're using your astral body to move around. The difference between that and a lucid dream is that it's more grounded in reality. So you have the astral plane, which is almost like a near perfect mirror of physical reality, though there are different levels to it, though. There are different levels to it. But typically, with astral projection, the whole process involves you leaving your body, literally. So it's like your astral body coming out of your physical body. You can actually turn back and look. So the first time I ever had that experience, it wasn't on purpose. It was actually spontaneous. I was terrified as shit, and I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because I was scared, okay? I thought I was dying. I was sure I was dying. So what happened? My mother always told me, don't lie down on your back, because if you lie down on your back, that's how the witches take you. I'm like, huh? So this particular night, imagine my shock to find that I was not just lying on my back. I was lying on my back and like this Dracula coffin style, like with my hands like this on my chest. So then I was even more shocked as to why I knew I was sleeping like that when I realized that I was looking down at myself. So this was me lying down here, and then this was me floating on top of myself in that same position. So we're facing each other. And I was looking at myself like, what is happening? I can see that my eyes were closed, my hands were in that position, and I always avoided sleeping on my back. So I was like, what the fuck? And then not only did I do that, I'm like in the coffin. What's happening? And I started floating above. And what I noticed as I was floating above my body and going higher towards the ceiling, I noticed that I could see 360. So I didn't understand it then, but now I do. It's basically this you, I've said it multiple times, are awareness. And I mean that very literally. So the senses you have, your sense of sight, sound, smell, all of that shit is very limited. When you're out of body, it becomes expansive. So I'm literally a point of consciousness, which means I have 360 vision. So I could see all over the room. And it was a room that I shared with my nephews and my niece at the time. So I could see them sleeping on their beds. I could hear the sound of the air conditioner. Everything was just a perfect match to real life. So I was confused. And I was like, oh my God, this must be what death feels like. And so I'm going up and I'm going up and I'm going up and I'm getting close to the ceiling. And at the time, I was very, very Christian, which means I was heavily into believing that there is a hellfire, you go to judgment, and then you get judged. And I knew in my tiny 13-year-old mind that I'm not a good girl. I mean, I thought I wasn't. I look back now and I'm like, what do you mean you're not a good girl? What did you do? You know? But then I'm approaching the ceiling and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I forgot to pray tonight. And so I get to the ceiling, and then what happens as I become more afraid, it's like there's a force. It felt like a force anyway that pushed me like a big hand that encompassed my whole body and just shoved me down. And then it shoved that floating version down, and then me on the bed, I felt myself enter myself. This sounds weird, I know. But I felt it, and then I opened my eyes and I saw that, number one, I was actually in that position. This was not a dream. I was actually in this position. Number two, I looked over at my nephews, my niece, and I could see that they were lying down in the exact same positions that I saw them when I was floating. Yeah. So I didn't talk to anybody about that for years. And as it then in Nigeria, the internet was like a luxury. So it wasn't like something I could have gone and Googled or something. I just kept it to myself. I thought, yeah, okay, already you're dealing with a lot of shit. They already think you're weird. Let's not talk about this one. They're gonna call you a witch. That's when I cared anyway. Fast forward years later, I would find, oh, it was just an astral projection, a spontaneous one, and that you can do it on purpose. And then I did it on purpose again and again and again and again. Anyway, that's just a fun little side note for those of you who are interested in that. Let's see. Loss of freedom or trades due to emotions disabling. Tobias, Big Tobias, your question from the group, yeah? What you have to do is look at, because I have a wide stop loss. So Big Tobias is asking me the question about how do I know to get out before my stop loss gets hit, which is me paraphrasing the question. Because I have a wide stop loss, that gives the price enough room to prove to me that I'm wrong. How does it prove to me that I'm wrong? If I start noticing fair value gaps that are forming opposite my bias. So for instance, I'm in a sell and market has gone a certain way, and I start seeing bullish fair value gaps forming on a time frame that I consider significant enough in terms of entries and exits, which is different. So entries and exits, I like to use lower time frames. If I start seeing bullish fair value gaps, that immediately tells me you better lock the fuck up or get out completely. So that should help you. I ordered some books, Can't Hurt Me, Power of Subconscious. I hope they'll help me improve. Can't Hurt Me is a good book. I never finished it, but that was because back then I was like, guy, life is not that hard. And I still think it's not that hard, but looking back now, I appreciate what he was trying to share. What's that his name again? Bald runner guy. I don't remember. Bald runner guy with the white uniform. Power of the Conscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, if that's it, is brilliant. You made an excellent choice. If you like things like that, I highly recommend you check out the teachings of Neville Goddard. Please do not go to anybody that's teaching about him first, not even me. First, go and study his work for yourself. Neville Goddard, Neville, Goddard, Goddard. So, Lord, you're very welcome. Big Tobias, I've answered you. Great job. I would absolutely love to hear about the Dreamium case. I've talked about that. Talking about knowing. Big Tobias, you don't need to spam. I will always answer you. Is it good for a Christian to practice yoga astral projection? Let me tell you something. And it's okay to not believe it. Again, you know me. I will always say be a skeptic. Every night, you already do this. It's just that you're not conscious of it. Sometimes when you project, you'll see people who are obviously not aware that they're out. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is, you are not just a human being. You are an eternal soul having a human experience. Now, this is my personal, I'm using the word opinion only out of respect, but there are many things that have been deliberately demonized to keep you from discovering your own power. So, if I want to maintain power over you as a ruler, what do? I ensure the very things that would empower you, you have no access to, or you would never touch by yourself. I would turn you into your own guard, your own policeman who would arrest yourself before you even try something. Which is funny because the same Bible says, test the spirits. That's how I even got here in the first place. There is a reason that even the CIA, that organization that is full of, I don't even want to get into their matter now, but there is a reason that those people have done work researching not just astral projection or astral travel, remote viewing, and other forms of consciousness, tampering with consciousness, working with consciousness to alter things. They eventually would release the results of their work about astral projection. But one thing you must know about the CIA is that by the time they release things, it's just to keep you happy and satisfied. Imagine what they haven't released that they know. There is a reason that there are certain things that they employ actual guards for, and it sounds like I'm crazy, I know, in the astral realm. It's a thing. The minute you start to recognize that you can actually astral project, you begin to question a lot of things that you've been taught. And life will begin to bring you the answers in very strange, interesting ways that force you to realize nothing about this world is random, and that a lot of what you've been taught and are continuing to be taught is nothing but a flat out lie. And it can be very jarring. I'm speaking to you as someone who, when I was in my 20s, I was convinced I was going to be a pastor. I'd read my Bible at least 3 times over. I knew my verses like nothing. I listened to nothing if it wasn't gospel. I was uninterested in the ways of the world. But things started happening that forced me to actually wonder. So my first experience was, actually I had multiple experiences as a child. This is going to sound, I know how it's going to sound, but at this point I don't care. So you guys, if you want to leave, if you're not interested in this portion of the live, you can go. So this is just me vibing, yeah? When I was a child, I used to have this experience where if I want to go and buy something, let's say I want to buy go-go or chin-chin, those snacks they used to sell at the melon shops back then, I just knew that I could find money. And no, I don't mean like go steal. I mean, literally, I'll just be like, oh, I want to buy this. And then I will get up and leave the house, knowing that I'm going to see money. I'm going to find money on the floor. And every time I would find it, sometimes I would just sit somewhere and I would just randomly insert my hand into a crevice or a crack and I would pull out cash. And I know it sounds crazy, but these are experiences, just some of the experiences I had that I suppressed as a child because I grew up, the world tells you these things are crazy, you're trafficking with Satan, what is this about, da-da-da. So you learn to shut that shit down and forget about it. But I had plenty of things. As a child, too, I remember I would just I just knew when things would happen. I'd look at a tree and I'd say, yeah, this thing's going to fall down. And I had no idea why I was saying that. I just say it. And then it will fall. So I just knew. I had precognition. I still do. Even till now, I have some clairaudience as well. These are things that are naturally occurring, in my opinion. But they've been demonized on purpose, because imagine a world where everybody learns how to astral project on purpose. Let me tell you, one of the first things that's going to happen when you start is you will lose your fear of death. The only reason that all of these powers that be and elites are able to keep us under their thumb is because everyone is terrified to death of what happens after you're gone, or the process of dying itself. If you want to read actual experiences about the fact that there's an afterlife, there's books. I'll post them in the group, I think. If you want to learn about Akashic experiences, they're very real. And it's nothing to do with a specific religion. Religion is like a gateway to actual spirituality. When people say, "What do you mean you're spiritual, not religious?" I laugh because first things first, everything and everyone is spiritual. But we've been taught to hand over that power to powers that be, and including those powers that be, apart from politicians and all those other people, you also have three-letter agencies, you also have your pastors and your imams, and some of them actually know the truth, but they won't tell you. They won't tell you you can do this thing for yourself. Because if I need to keep you under control, I need to have you feeling like you can't do without me. So all of this to say, if you actually want to test it out for yourself, you can. And if you still feel like, I'm a Christian, I should not be touching this, don't. The one thing I know is I don't believe in accidents or coincidences. If I'm talking to you right now about this, the way I see it is that sooner or later, you will circle back to it. The first time I ever heard about astral projection, it wasn't even called that. I remember I was in nursery school and they were telling me, oh, that some people actually leave their bodies. I was looking at them like, it's in nursery school, sorry, primary school. I was looking at my classmates like, huh? What do you mean? It's like, oh yeah, some people leave their bodies. Like, I'm like, you can't be serious. And then it would wind up happening to me years later, spontaneously, and then years later after that, I would find myself doing it on purpose. So that's what I'm finding about life is there is no coincidence. Sometimes when information comes to you, it's not necessarily because you're supposed to act on it now. It's like a preview. Hey, so this is what's next. So is it good for a Christian to practice yoga, astral projection? That's for you to figure out yourself. I was a very strong, staunch Christian. I started practicing certain things and discovering for myself. And I found that, and still till now, like even when I share, people will be like, yeah, you're trafficking with Satan. I'm like, talk, Cody, no problem. But I'm actually at more peace now than I was before. And that's saying a lot because I used to be a very depressed baby. Some top bankers till they become one with the market. Have you ever traded in your dreams? How not? When I was obsessed with trading, oh no. Still am, but yeah. Nlala. Nlala. I love South African names. Like it's such Duolingo is not doing it enough for me. There's this thing. I don't know. I know you guys don't like us, but me, I will love you. You don't have a choice. Much research indicates early childhood and paternal upbringing has profound influences in adulthood. Yeah, Basti Parfait, you're very welcome. I sent an invite, that was an accident. Okay, Sharksy Pappy, no problem. So that's about it. I've shared, we've had fun. I've just said you guys non-trading stuff. I'm going to take off now. Thank you for coming to the live. Remember everything that I taught you. Don't just remember, actually put it into practice because that's where the magic is. It's not in listening, right? And I will see you guys on Monday where we'll talk about charts. Charts. So thank you so much for the likes and the follows and everything. Peace and love, Freddie Black. I see you. All right, guys. What about the third eye? You guys don't want me to go to bed today, I can tell. What about your third eye? What about it? Ray, hey, thank you, man. You're awesome too. Thanks for being here. You want to open your third eye, Eric? You want to open your third eye? Go on astral to the beach or forest for Lake. Yeah. That's a solid idea. Hey, hello, elephant. I see you. I see you. Even if you say you don't love me, I don't care. I don't care. I've always loved you guys right from when I was a child. I remember Channel O. Channel O would play like Kwaito music, and I'm like, who are these people? What are these dance steps? What are they saying? I don't know. I love them. So yeah, Nala, peace out. No problem. Okay, guys, take care. Take care. Good night. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Please review your charts, review yourself as well. And next week, may the markets favor you and may the pips be with you.